Albert Einstein, a name that has become the very definition of genius. His wild hair, deep eyes, and kind smile have become symbols of intelligence. But behind the photographs lies a complex story. A boy who spoke late, a man who struggled in love, a thinker who challenged the universe, and a human being who shaped the destiny of the modern world. Birth of a Curious Mind, 1879-1884. Albert Einstein was born on March 14, 1879, in Ulm, Germany. His father, Hermann Einstein, was an ambitious but struggling businessman, while his mother, Pauline Koch, came from a wealthy family and loved music. From the start, Albert was different. His head was unusually large, and doctors even worried about his health. His grandmother gasped, "Much too fat! Much too fat!" As a toddler, Albert spoke very little. He didn't form full sentences until age 4 or 5. His parents grew anxious. Was their child slow? Was something wrong? But in reality, little Albert was simply thinking deeply before speaking. One day, when he was 5, his father showed him a small compass. The boy was fascinated. Why did the needle always point north? What invisible force was at work? This single moment planted the seed of curiosity that would never leave him. The school rebel Einstein's childhood in Munich wasn't easy. He attended a strict German school where discipline and memorization were everything. Albert hated it. He preferred daydreaming about light, space, and music. One teacher told him, "You will never amount to anything." But at home, his mother encouraged music. Albert learned the violin and grew to love Mozart. Later in life, he would often say, "If I were not a physicist, I would probably be a musician." At age 15, disaster struck. His father's business failed, and the family moved to Italy. Albert was left behind in Munich to finish school. But he was miserable. So he ran away and joined his family in Milan, without a diploma. Struggles of a young dreamer, Einstein wanted higher education, so he applied to the Swiss Federal Polytechnic School in Zurich. The first time, he failed the entrance exam. He was good at math and physics, but weak in other subjects. Instead of giving up, he studied more and reapplied. This time, he passed. At Zurich, Einstein wasn't a model student. He often skipped classes and preferred reading scientific papers alone. His professors thought he was lazy. But Einstein had one close companion, Mileva Maric, a brilliant Serbian physics student. They fell in love, and Mileva became his intellectual partner. Together, they discussed theories late into the night. But society wasn't kind to Mileva. Being a woman in science was rare, and she faced constant discrimination, poverty, and the patent office. After graduating in 1900, Einstein couldn't find a job in academia. No professor wanted him as an assistant. For years, he struggled financially. Finally, in 1902, he got a job at the Swiss Patent Office in Bern. His job was to review inventions, but in his spare time, he scribbled physics equations on scraps of paper. In 1902, Mileva secretly gave birth to a daughter, Liesl, out of wedlock. The baby either died young or was given up for adoption. The truth remains a mystery. In 1903, Einstein and Mileva married, and soon had 2 sons, Hans Albert and Eduard. But life was not easy. They lived in small apartments, and Albert often worried about money. The miracle year, 1905, then came 1905, the year that changed everything. Einstein, still a patent clerk, published 4 groundbreaking papers in 1 year. Photoelectric effect showed that light behaves like particles, not just waves. This idea later won him the Nobel Prize. Brownian motion proved the existence of atoms by explaining the random movement of particles in liquid. Special theory of relativity revolutionized physics by showing that space and time are relative, not absolute. MC2, the most famous equation ever, proving that mass and energy are the same. From a nobody at the patent office, Einstein suddenly became one of the most important scientists in the world. General relativity and worldwide fame, 1915, 1920s. Einstein didn't stop there. In 1915, after years of work, he unveiled the general theory of relativity. It described gravity not as a force, but as the bending of space and time itself. In 1919, during a solar eclipse, British astronomer Arthur Eddington confirmed Einstein's prediction that light bends around massive objects. Overnight, Einstein became a global celebrity. Newspapers hailed him as the new Newton. But while the world celebrated him, his marriage with Mileva collapsed. They divorced in 1919, the same year. Einstein married his cousin, Elsa Lowenthal. Politics, Nazis, and escaped to America in the 1920s. Einstein toured the world, lecturing in Europe, America, and Asia. He was welcomed as a hero, but not everyone admired him. In Germany, Rising nationalism and anti-Semitism painted him as a Jewish fraud. When Hitler came to power in 1933, Einstein's life was in danger. He fled to the United States and accepted a position at Princeton University. He never returned to Germany. World War II and the atomic bomb. Einstein was a pacifist, but he feared Nazi Germany might build a nuclear weapon. In 1939, he co-signed the famous Einstein-Szilard letter to President Roosevelt, warning of this danger. This letter helped start the Manhattan Project, but Einstein himself never worked on the bomb. He was considered politically too radical. When the bombs destroyed Hiroshima and Nagasaki in 1945, Einstein was horrified. He said, "If I had known they would do this, I would never have signed the letter." Later years in activism. Einstein spent his later years at Princeton, focusing on the dream of a unified field theory, a theory that could unify all forces of nature. He never succeeded, but he used his fame to speak out against nuclear weapons, for world peace, for civil rights in America. He was friends with Paul Robeson and W.E.B. Du Bois, and spoke against racism in 1952. He was even offered the presidency of Israel, but he declined, saying, "I lack the natural aptitude and the experience to deal with people properly." Einstein loved simplicity. He often wore old clothes, didn't comb his hair, and disliked fame. His joys were music, sailing, and quiet walks. Death and the mystery of his brain. On April 17, 1955, Einstein collapsed due to an abdominal aortic aneurysm. He refused surgery, saying, "I want to go when I want. It is tasteless to prolong life artificially." He died the next morning, April 18th, at the age of 76. But the story didn't end there. The pathologist, Dr. Thomas Harvey, secretly removed Einstein's brain without permission. He kept it for decades, cutting it into pieces for study. Scientists later discovered unusual features, extra connections in certain regions, which may have contributed to his genius. Legacy. Einstein left behind more than equations. He proved that curiosity can change the world. He showed that imagination is as important as knowledge. He stood for peace, justice, and humanity. Today, his theories power GPS, nuclear energy, and our understanding of the universe. His name is eternal. Albert Einstein was more than a scientist. He was a rebel, a dreamer, and a voice of hope in dark times. His journey, from a late-speaking child to the world's greatest mind, reminds us that genius is not about memorization or grades. Genius is curiosity, imagination, and the courage to question everything. As long as humanity looks to the stars and asks why, the spirit of Albert Einstein will live forever.